7 lesser known and cute pollinators that we can't do without. Just about all seed-producing plants need pollinators. Somehow the pollen needs to be transported to a neighbouring flower of the same species in order for pollination to occur. Once the eggs and the ovaries are fertilised, the seeds and seed pods can form. Most people know about insects such as bees as pollinators of the plant kingdom, but are they the only pollinators? As it turns out, no, not by a long shot. There are actually a number of birds, animals and reptiles that are involved in pollination too. And that doesn't include abiotic or non-animal methods of pollination, such as wind and water. So let's dive into exploring some of these creatures. And heads up, some of them are super cute. And I bet you can't guess the last one. Alright. Number 1. Tiny marsupials. There are a few tiny marsupials in Australia that are involved in pollinating flowers. One of these is the honey possum, Tarsippes rostratus. The honey possum is neither a possum nor does it eat honey. These tiny marsupials, which weigh all of around 10 grams or 0.35 ounces, each have a prehensile tail longer than its body. They are found in southwestern Australia, in the Banksia woodlands, sandplain Conguin heathlands, shrublands and low open woodlands. Their distribution is dependent on the species richness, or the number of different nectar-producing plants, and their time of flowering, as they need an all-year-round food supply. Typically, the species richness is found in areas that haven't burnt for 22 to 26 years, as regular burning reduces the area's biodiversity and maturity of many plants, which have to regrow after a fire. These tiny creatures feed on nectar and pollen from flowers like the Banksia attenuata, Banksia coccinea, and Adenanthus cuneatus. They have long tongues with brush-like tips, and no incisors that can get in the way. Pollen connects on their tongues and sometimes their fur, and is neatly deposited on the next flower as they visit. They are nocturnal, so often not seen, and they nest in dense shrubbery or hollow branches. Their ancient lineage goes back over 40 million years. They are not related closely to other Australian marsupials, but rather to an ancient marsupial called Monito del Monte, or Dromaeops scleroides, from Chile in South America, presumably from the days when it was part of Gondwana. Another tiny marsupial, the sugar glider, Petaurus breviceps, feeds on nectar and pollen, as well as plant sap and gum, for example from the acacia and eucalyptus plants, and spiders and insects. This flexible diet may vary according to location and season, and allows them to survive when plants are not flowering. They accidentally pollinate some of these flowers while moving from plant to plant. Number 2. Sunbirds, from the family Nectarinidae. These birds are typically small with long curved beaks and found in Africa and Southeast Asia and India, in tropical forests, savanna, montane forests and heathland. They feed on nectar from tubular brush-like flowers such as aloe, strelitzia, leonotis, and impatiens. In feeding, pollen is transferred to their heads and then to the next flower as they brush against the anthers and the stigmas. The birds have a strong hovering flight, but they often perch when feeding and nest in trees or shrubs. They are unrelated to hummingbirds from the family Trochilidae, which are more renowned as pollinators, but have developed similar curved beaks and characteristics due to convergence evolution. And number 3, lemurs, from the family Lemuridae. Lemurs are wet-nosed primates native to Madagascar and the nearby Komodo Islands. They are related to monkeys and apes, but are a separate branch of primates. In fact, as a type of prosimian, they evolved before monkeys and apes. They are now one of the most endangered groups of mammals in the world. Lemurs enjoy eating fruits and flowers and spend most of their time in the canopy of trees. Unsurprisingly, some special relationships have developed between lemurs and some plants. For example, the black lemur, Elamur macaco, and the black and white ruffled lemur, Varicia variegata, share a symbiotic relationship with the traveller's palm, Ravenala madagascarensis. The traveller's palm is not a true palm, but a member of the family Strelitziaceae. It has large paddle-shaped leaves and flowers similar to those of its relatives, the bird of paradise flowers, Strelitzia reginae and Strelitzia nicolae. The lemurs enjoy the nectar by tearing apart the hard beak-like sheath, or spathe, from which the flower emerges. Pollen collects on their muzzles and forearms, and is then transported to the next tree as they move from tree to tree. And just a little tidbit of interesting but rather arbitrary information. Did you know that a group of lemurs is called a conspiracy? Alright. Number 4. Bats. Many bats are insectivores, and almost all of the rest are frugivores, fruit eaters, and nectarivores, nectar eaters. Bats are important in their ecosystems for pollinating flowers and dispersing seeds. Over 500 plant species are pollinated by bats in a process called chiropterophily, including many tropical plants such as mangoes, bananas, and guavas. And several plants have evolved especially for bat pollination. Large fruit bats must perch to drink the nectar, and the flowers of such plants are large and showy, white or light-coloured, open at night, and have strong musty odours. The flowers often have balls of stamens, such as the African baobab tree flower. In the Americas, bats are tiny, able to hover and echolocate, and have very long tongues. Plants here are often pollinated by both bats and hummingbirds and have long tubular flowers. The epiphytic bean, Mucuna holtonii, has a specialized petal that acts as a sonar reflector to guide the pollinating bats towards the flowers. After the flower has been visited, this special petal changes position, changing the eco-fingerprint and communicating that the nectar is now absent. Markgravia, a genus of terrestrial vines from the Caribbean islands in Central America, has evolved a special leaf just above the inflorescences to attract bats. And one last example, in Mexico, the lesser long-nosed bat pollinates agave flowers. And number 5, rodents. Rodents are ground-dwelling and nest in burrows and under rocks. They are insensitive to sharp odors and are thus able to pollinate low-lying flowers and those that smell horrible to other pollinators. For example, the Namakwa rock mouse, Ithemis namaquensis, found in South Africa and Namaqualand, pollinates Protea and Leucospermum species. They feed on nectar and parts of the flower, the pollen attaches to their fur, and then gets transferred to the next flower. Mice in Australia also are common pollinators of flowers. Flowers are typically low to the ground, large and robust with multi-flower inflorescences to support the rodents, and often form large cup-like structures for the rodents to sit in. They often produce a musty or yeasty odour to attract rodents. As an example, the Banksias of Australia are such flowers, such as the Banksia subulata, commonly known as the old honeypot, and others. And number 6, lorikeets, subfamily Lorinae. The lorikeet is a parrot from Australia, New Guinea, and Southeast Asia. They feed on pollen, sap, nectar, and some soft fruits. Lorikeets have a tongue with a brush tip with little hairs or papillae, which help them to dig out the nectar and pollen. In the process of feeding, some of the pollen sticks to their heads and necks and is transferred to the next flower. Flowers pollinated by lorikeets include brush-type flowers of eucalyptus, callistemon, and grevillea species. And number 7, day geckos, the Phelsuma species. Most day geckos are arboreal and come from Madagascar and Mauritius and the surrounding Indian Ocean islands. Many day geckos eat insects, pollen and nectar from flowers, and sometimes soft sweet fruits such as bananas. As they feed on nectar, so the pollen sticks to their noses and is then transferred to other flowers as they move from flower to flower. The ornate day gecko, Phelsuma ornata, is native to the drier coastal areas of Mauritius, and the gold dust day gecko, Phelsuma laticorda, to the tropical forests of Madagascar, the Comoro Islands, and the Mascarene Islands. The Madagascar giant day gecko, the Phelsuma grandis, is native to areas of tropical and subtropical forests in northern Madagascar. And as a bonus, here is one animal you didn't expect. Okay, they're probably too big to be called cute, but they definitely win hands down for being unusual. The Sumatran elephant pollinating the corpse flower Rafflesia. This process even has its own special label, elephophily, that is, pollination by elephant. As the elephants migrate through the rainforests of Indonesia, the large pollen grains of the Rafflesia attach themselves to their feet and then are then distributed to other flowers as they walk over them. Isn't the natural world so fascinating? Well, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments which pollinator you found most interesting. And if you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe. Both methods are excellent ways to support the channel and are free. Until next time, enjoy!